At this time, I would like to turn today's program over to Rob Howard, Vice President and General Manager, Telligent. Rob, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and hello, everyone. As was mentioned at the top of the call, this webinar is going to be recorded. We're going to make it available on the Telligent.com website just as soon as possible. If you'd like to follow the conversation on Twitter, in addition to answering or asking questions within WebEx, you can use the hashtag Telligent9. We've got some people from our team monitoring that hashtag. We'll help answer any questions. We would encourage you to use the WebEx for any Q&A. We will not be having an open Q&A during this session due to the fact that it is being recorded. And lastly, if there's any follow-on questions, you can always email us at sales@telligent.com. And of course, you can always reach out to me directly at rob.howard@verint.com. Great. So my name is Rob Howard. I'm the founder of Telligent. In August of 2015, Verint acquired the business. So Verint is a leader in actionable intelligence. We're very excited to be part of the Verint family now. And we wanted to share some details about our latest release, Telligent Community 9.0, which we just made available last week. Telligent Community 9.0 was built to help you create incredible customer communities. And we really want to stress the importance of the word you, because for you it can mean a developer or designer, it can mean an agency partner that's helping one of their customers implement community, or it can be you as an end customer. We believe that community today is an integral part of delivering on your customer's experience with your brand, whether it's digital marketing, support, or sales. Our businesses understand that customer experience today is about driving buyers' decisions and tearing down the silos within your organization. And what better way to do that than with a community platform? What our customers have told us is that communities today represent not only an opportunity to deliver support in new ways, but more importantly, to influence how people make buying decisions and other decisions about how they interact with an organization. In fact, one of our customers recently reported that buyers that spend time in the community spend approximately 24% more than buyers who do not spend time in the community. However, we've got lots of business use cases to talk about, but however, today is not really about the business story behind community. It's more about the platform, and those are the details we want to share with you. Our version 9 represents a significant milestone in our business, back to more of an open and transparent experience for our customers. That includes all of the projects and samples and code that we've been putting on GitHub to encourage developers that want to work with our software. It's the new Telligent.com with a lot of information about the product, and we'll get some more information. We'll share about that towards the end. And lastly, it's about reintroducing a free edition of our software that our customers and partners and that you can use to run your community solution. Today we're going to highlight some of the themes that drove the roadmap for 9, but most importantly we're going to spend quite a bit of time walking you through the 9.0 product and really showing it off to you. We're really proud of what we built. Before I hand it over to Kevin to walk through a demo of the product, I wanted to spend a little bit of time sharing kind of what drove a lot of the roadmap for Community version 9. When we were planning version 9, we spent a lot of time with customers as well as interviewing people that were running competitor software. What we learned is that there were several different personas of who typically was the end user of the community or who spent their time in the community. And what we wanted to do is really focus on those personas to influence the type of investments we were making in the software. So one of the biggest investments was obviously in the community manager. This is the person within your organization that's running the community on a day-to-day basis. And what we learned from those conversations is that the community manager wants to spend less of his or her time administering the community and more time with the customers, because ultimately that's where the community manager feels like he or she is delivering value back to the business. So we spent a lot of time working on the platform to make sure we were addressing the needs of the community manager. Secondly, we spent a lot of time thinking through the end customer. What we heard from end customers, and those are, if you're running our software, those are your customers that are actually using the community to ask questions or interact with your team. What we heard was that they wanted just a consistent, simple user experience. They wanted to use it as close to out of the box as possible. They want it to be intuitive and easy. So again, we spent a lot of time thinking through a lot of our features and trying to understand how do we map those back to the use cases that our customers really want. So we spent time looking at, in fact, we looked at some of our competitors. We looked at how a lot of our customers and partners were rolling out Community and made changes accordingly. Lastly, we spent a lot of time thinking about IT and the developer. And when we looked at a lot of our competitors, we found that this was an audience that they pretty much ignored. We wanted to spend a lot of time making sure that the technology people that were responsible for implementing Community, running Community, helping integrate Community into business loved this software. So we did a lot to that end. We're introducing something new with this release called Community as a Service. I'll talk more about that in a moment. We've also continued to invest in what we call the API economy, which includes over 250 RESTful APIs for our software. That isn't something new. That's something we've been investing in over the last probably 4 releases now. A very open platform that allows our developers to build with it. But with this release, we have added some new capabilities, including webhooks and a few other developer-specific capabilities. Most importantly, if you're a developer or an agency working with our platform, you can go onto github.com/Telligent and find a bunch of open source integrations, samples, toolkits for working with our software. And our objective there was to really make it easy for developers to fall in love with the software and build exactly what they wanted to build. I wanted to just spend a few minutes highlighting a few features. This screen, and I'm not going to read through all of the feature work that we've done. This is by no means representative of all the work we did in 9.0. And I think you'll see when we get into the demo that we've just spent a lot of time thinking through these use cases. What we really did try and do, though, is focus on what our customers said was important to them. So hopefully for those of you that have been running our software for some time, you're going to recognize a few of these requests from things that you've asked us for previously. We continue to invest in being a fully responsive and adaptive mobile experience. So you can use this in a desktop experience or an iPhone or Android or various other mobile devices natively, so there's nothing you have to kind of invest in there. We've also taken our iOS and Android apps and published those with full source code on GitHub. Because again, what we recognize is that our developer audience wants to take Community and not just make it a standalone island, but they want to embed it and integrate it into all of their experiences. We also spend a lot of time on content management. And just to be clear, we're not a content management system like, let's say, Sitecore, one of our longtime partners. Instead, we've really built a lot of our software around integrating and embedding through systems like Sitecore, and then publishing SDKs and samples to help our partners, to help you build on top of that Sitecore platform. And one more thing before I move on to the demo. We are introducing this new capability called Community as a Service. It's a new offering from us. That's a cloud-based offering that enables you to build your own user experience in whatever technology or use case you desire. Our belief is that Community should no longer be just an island, but embedded in your entire web experience. And that's something that we're going to be showing more and more of with our customers in subsequent case studies as well. But rather than hear me talk about it, because I could talk about the features and the capabilities all day long, what I'd rather do is I'd rather show you why Community 9.0 is so incredible and what it does to enable you to create incredible customer communities. And to help us with that today, I'm going to change presenter rights over to Kevin Cunningham, who's the Senior Director of Product Operations, who leads all of the product efforts, strategy, roadmap around implementing the 9.0 platform, and let him take you through a demo of exactly what his team has built for 9.0. Kevin?
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for joining, everyone. Today's demo, what I'll be using is an almost out-of-the-box instance of Community 9.0. This community that I've built is the unofficial Oculus support community. It's using the out-of-the-box theme with very little customizations. So before we get into some of the features that Rob mentioned, what I did want to show right off the bat is some of the updates we've made throughout the entire theme. We made some consistency changes. As you see, it's a nice, clean look. We've got sticky sidebars all through the theme now. We've also made some much better use of white space. As I click through here, you'll see we got real clean lines. Also, when we've also made some changes to some of our pages, and you'll see that throughout where we've cleaned up some of the user profile pages. When we get into forums, I'll show some direct updates to some of our forum pages. But another global change that we've made that benefits that throughout the site is we've updated to a later version of TinyMCE. Like most other technology firms, we've finally been able to get rid of supporting IE6, which for a long time we had some customers who we still need to support that. But allowing us to move forward to the latest version of TinyMCE, it gives the end users a lot more capabilities. For this case, when we pick up the latest version of TinyMCE, now we get to pick up the ability to find and replace. We've also got better drag and drop support for adding images. When you want to add a blog post to images, go ahead, drag and drop those into the post directly. Also, this version of TinyMCE has full translated, it is fully translated. You can go grab out of the box translations for all these menu items. We've also get to pick up some new formatting options. And of course, we get to bring back across all content types the ability to preview your post before actually submitting. Also, with 9.0, of course, we still, prior to 9.0, we introduced the introduction of embedded content types. We shipped our polling in 8, and also, too, in 9.0, we've even come out of the box with a new ability to insert code. So if you're a tech community, you've got people submitting code, we out of the box now have a syntax header that you can enable. It's disabled out of the box, but you can go ahead and enable that and get something. This post here, I've actually done some sample code, and you can see you get this now for free, but first an optional plugin. And also, this version of TinyMCE, as Rob mentioned, the entire site's fully responsive, but it plays very nice with touch devices. So if you can also optionally enable this version of a rich text editing experience for your mobile customers. Also, another global kind of change I wanted to call out was throughout this presentation, you'll see me move in and out of this new contextual panel. This is how now for 9.0, we take a brand new look at how group owners, administrators, people who have permissions to do administrative options on the front of the site, we move those options into what we call context panels. We call them context because you're seeing throughout the site, as I dig into particular areas within the community, in this particular case, I'm within a group. So I'm making decisions about administration as close to the content as possible. And as I dig deeper down into a forum, you'll see now I have an option to manage a forum. Now we'll look at some of these options a little bit deeper here in a second, but I did want to show them right off the bat because through some of these demos here, I'll be switching into some of these administrative options to show you how some of these new features are administered. Another quick note, real quick, while I'm in here, I wanted to add that these menus are fully searchable. So a lot of times when we work with some support, some feature, we may know the name, but may not know exactly how to get it. So I wanted to call that out, that everything in here is searchable. So let's look at some new features in the forum space. So right off the bat, you'll see that the forum landing page has been redesigned. It's been redesigned to put more focus on the threads themselves, not be overwhelming, and not to be overwhelming. This bleeds also through to the actual threads. So in this particular case, let's actually dig down into this post here. We've added to now on the right-hand panel to call out the thread details in this upper right-hand corner and keep them sticky. So that way you're keeping context of information about the thread without it sliding. You'll notice throughout the site, in all applications as well, is you'll get this sticky bar. So as we scroll, again, we're not getting into, this is staying in context of what you're looking at. Can everyone hear me? It sounds like there's a little choppiness. Okay. Another thing you may notice while I'm in here, I've switched over to a different user, but you'll see this new feature in this upper right-hand corner. I have this question too. So this is going to allow a user who may not be participating in the thread, but that wants to enable to keep in touch with this particular conversation. So in this particular case, I'm Leslie. I've logged into a different browser. I'm a different user. Leslie may have the option she has the same problem, but she may not know exactly, she doesn't know enough, she doesn't want to participate directly in it, but wants to know when there's a solution. So when she clicks on this, now she's participating in this, and she'll get form notifications when actions occur on this particular thread. Also, too, what another feature here is, for in this particular case, let's say I'm Leslie, and I actually see, wow, there's a suggested answer here. In this particular case, this user said, well, we're fully aware of what was going on. There was an outage, go back out, log back out, and try it. If I'm Leslie, I try that, I can also say, wow, this helped me too. So in this particular case, Leslie said, oh, this helped me. This moved this into a suggested answer now. Now this is a new feature that we've added to 10.9.0, and what we do is we allow the community to vote solutions into these particular states. Now at the bottom here, you can see this is out of the box. I've lowered the verified answer threshold. Typically it's 5, but you can configure it whatever you want. But what this means is now that people in the community can actually push solutions to push form answers into verified solutions. Also, too, this new feature of being able to say, I have this question too, also drives the frequently asked questions. So as a community owner, you get more insight into knowing what are popular questions that people are asking. As well as when you subscribe to questions, they actually now will show up in your list of questions that you subscribe to. So in this particular case, I'm Lucky Admin, and I've been following this thread too as well, so you can actually keep tabs on what's occurring for these particular threads. So another change real quick is we've listened to some of the feedback that we've had around moderating forum threads. What we've done is actually simplified this model. In the past, when you wanted to delete threads, we actually would walk you through, like you're saying, why you want to delete it, et cetera. And the feedback that we heard is that when we want to delete something, we actually want it off the site. So now, when I hit delete, it's actually delete it, zap it right then and there. No more questions about why it's being deleted, and then we delete reasons. Also, too, we've simplified splitting. So when you want to split a thread or actually join it to something else, you have the option to obviously search, and as well as we support now introspection of URLs. So while you may not, off the top of your head, know exactly what forum you want to move it to, you may just poke over to the actual forum. Sorry about that. And now you can just actually go and find the actual form and paste in there, and we'll go ahead and look up for you. Now this is also similar to when you want to join threads as well. Anytime you can go find a thread in the forum, you can actually copy the URL, and we'll use introspection as well to go ahead and join that. Again, it's about simplifying and making these tasks for moderators a lot easier to do. Another change is that I'm now logging in as a incognito session here, but what was possible in the past but not out of the box to do is try to improve user engagement. So in this case, I'm anonymous. I actually now have the option to actually respond in line and then be prompted to log in. It seems minor, but this was actually something that a lot of people asked for that was possible, but not as simple as it could be, which is now shipped out of the box this way. Also, in actually another global feature that I've put here in this particular group is leaderboards. Now we've always had the ability to track points, but now it's about how do we make use of some of those points and kind of call out and find our most valuable members, or use leaderboards to kind of find groups of people within the community that we want to identify. So in 9.0, we officially support leaderboards. We added these. The administration is done can be done at the group level or the site level. In this particular case, I've added 2 leaderboards to my forums group. And in this case, I have two of them going in two different fashions. When you create a leaderboard, you can actually set the dates and the review time periods that you'd like. So in this particular case, I have an all-time. This is going to be obviously a popular one, but you can also set for a specific date range. So this is going to be beneficial when you want to maybe run a campaign, maybe reward some users, or even have a particular time period that maybe you do a release. You want to see, who's answering the questions for for a particular time period. We also have a rolling time period. So I can say, I want to actually know the leaderboards for the past 30 days, 7 days, or whatever you want. Also with leaderboards, you have the ability to include by role. So this is a very popular case when you want to maybe track or not track, but you want to see how your own support team is doing. So you can see, over the past week, we've noticed these particular members are really keeping on top of answering questions, as well as you can exclude roles. So we do this actually ourselves in the public communities, where we actually like to remove employees from being part of the leaderboard. Now, also part of this as well, for leaderboards, is we can actually see those leaders and actually export them. So in the case where you run a campaign, you may want to the end of the week, every Sunday, I come in here, I look, I see who's, maybe you have a reward system. You can actually export these out, and we'll export it out with the username, email, the rank, and the actual number of points. Also to note that just like almost everything we introduce when we do new features, there are APIs behind the leaderboard. So in the case where we've seen this before, where there's external reward systems that are outside of just the community, you can actually create a job that at the end of the week would actually send these leaderboard results out to an external system that then can move it through your own reward system. Okay, let's see. So another thing too with leaderboards, as I click through, I'm an admin, so I can actually see these points. Every end user can see how their points are accumulated, and then also admins can see how any user's points are being, or how they're calculated for that particular leaderboard. Okay. So moving over to galleries, another thing that we've now enabled is drag and drop support for galleries. In this particular case, oops, didn't do that. Drag it onto the thing here. Excuse me. When I drag these in here in the particular community, you'll see that I'm actually uploading these via drag and drop. This is a preferred method now. Another thing to note is out of the box, we're also shipping now, it's no longer an add-on to actually add post-installation, is we have the document preview available out of the box. So this is going to get you your things with your PDFs, your PowerPoint, your Office documents. So that's enabled for you, but without any kind of add-ons. Okay. Also, we still have the fantastic ideation, but again, just like with the doc preview, the ideas are now shipped out of the box. So no longer have to install anything, just click a button, they're ready to go. I'm going to sneak into the backend administration, which I'll cover here in a second, but we did make some additional changes to moderation. We now allow you to, we understand that there may be some different kind of statuses that you may fit your business a little bit different. So you can actually come in here now and you can actually edit and you can actually rename these to whatever you want and actually delete them. You can add new ones. If you delete them, we give you the option to say anything in this particular state, where do you want to go now? So again, it's about kind of giving you some more level of control and making the feature a lot more useful for your particular needs. Another thing with ideation, we've added some new notifications. So in the case where when you want to watch a notification, you can actually turn on notifications. You can see when this particular idea moves states or gets comments. And of course, we've always had the ability to, when you move states, to leave notes. So in this particular case, we've taken this 4K display for the Oculus, for the Rift, and we've actually left a note saying, hey, thanks for the interest, we're taking this. Another quick thing too, if you really want to get bold, you can actually now also let's say you want to allow anyone to submit ideation ideas, is we now allow, ideation was added to moderation. So you want to go ahead and let the end users kind of let everybody anonymously even submit stuff, go for it, and you can push everything through moderation. Another change for the digital marketers out there is in this home page here, you can see there's this kind of featured item. In this case here, I've featured an event. Again, this is something that out of the box was kind of an add-on, but we ship today news and events, news and events, you're reading, but events are now shipped out of the box, so you can add your calendaring. In this particular case here, I've added and I featured this middle out compression event on the home page. But in the past, we have allowed things to be featured. That's not new, but what we've done is we've extended featuring and improved the feature to much more types. But in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and feature this blog post, and you'll see now that you can actually start a feature and have it end. So when you're looking for a campaign or you're doing something, maybe you having a release like we just did, you can actually schedule these out to be featured on the home page or even within a particular group. So these are new options as well. You can target the site, a particular group, or of course both. And you can actually pick what feature image you want to do. So in this particular case, I'm just going to go ahead and grab a featured image here. I'm going to go ahead and target that across the entire site. Now when I get this, now I've also got this, some reactions of the blog post to the high price or arguably high price of the Oculus. So again, it's listening to the feedback and seeing how you want to function and being able to, and that's where some of those new additions came from. Another thing that wanted to call out is we're also giving, I keep on going back to this blog post, let me pick a different one here. Across media, content pages, blog posts now, we're giving you also some more control in SEO capabilities. So in this particular case, you may like something more, maybe this isn't sexy enough for you and you want to kind of change for an SEO purposes and you want to target a different title, we give you that option. Now it's also important to note that we've also added Open Graph as well. Now you could have added those yourself in the past, but now we've just made that out of the box. We'll render Open Graph tags for all content in the system, and when we do that, we'll be smart about it. We'll pick in the particular case of like a group. We'll take the group avatar as the image to show, and we'll give out of the box you're going to get these for free, but again, it's about giving you some control and editing these to fit your needs. It also should be noted that we're now extremely consistent about using hyphens in URLs, so you won't see any more URLs with underscores, and we're real consistent about that now as well. Another tweak as well for SEO is now all content will have self-referencing canonical URLs. So we know that people run campaigns, and you may spread URLs all across different mediums with different campaign tags, etc. So all content now will go ahead and show up with a self-referencing URL, and that's media, that's content pages, that's across the entire site. Let's see. Also, so these are obviously some good front-end features, but how do we kind of manage some of those features from a UI perspective? Let's get into some updates we made there as well. So now we've brought the entire UI management experience to the front. So now when we start, again, here's the contextual panels. Now when I want to edit a theme, I'm going to do it all here in the front, whether it's theme configuration or just particularly editing a page. Now, a couple quick notes before I start editing this particular page, is I want to call out some of these new items. So in the past, what we would do is previously when, let me get this out of the way real quick, sorry, it's taking up a little space. Previously, when you're editing a page, you would make the page edits, and then when you went to go save, we'd ask you if you want to save for the default group, or you want to save for the default group theme or for the particular theme. We've kind of heard the feedback was actually when I'm editing something, I want to do it in the context where I'm at. So now there's a clear separation between when you want to edit, make changes for the default group, and when you want to make a change for the current group that you're in. Now you're just going to make that decision up front. Also, too, is we've simplified and we've simplified the ability to import a theme and cherry pick what you want. So in this particular case, I've exported just a theme configuration from some group. You'll notice now when I import this, I'm given options of what I want to take in. So you may have a staging environment or some other environment where you've done some work. Go ahead and with one click, export it back out, and then cherry pick some of the pages that you want to pull in. I mentioned about being able to export. Now exporting is in one click. So I can actually, at the site level or group level, export my user experience in one click. So just a single click there, I've got this entire look and feel of this group that I can now push to another environment if I want, or into another group. So those are some global options that were kind of in the past, and again, it's about bringing that user editing experience all to the front. Notice at this point for users who've used the system before is I haven't moved anywhere into the back control panel at all in any time of editing. So let's look at some improvements in the editing. So today when I'm editing, you'll notice a couple of different things. Well, we've got some real responsive actions, so I'm hovering over some of these widgets. Editing a header now is directly in line. I'm no longer switched into this different mode. I can switch between editing the page and the footer real easily. We've also, for an example, let's show in this particular case, let's say we're a tag-heavy forum, and I want to add a tag cloud over in this right-hand corner. Whoops, sorry, didn't grab that. So in this particular case, I like this look and feel. I'm going to go ahead and clean up some of the bordering there. We've introduced something we call preview and staging. So I've got this change here. I kind of want to check it out. What you can do now is move into a preview state. Now this pop-up comes up as basically telling me that all other browser sessions are going to see this. Now for this particular session I'm in right here, I may not be done editing, so this kind of sticks into the edit mode for me. But I kind of want to do a couple other things as well. So I'm going to go ahead and make another change to the, let's say the forum page. Let's go to forum page. Let's go ahead and view that. Oh, I meant the thread. Sorry about that. I meant thread page. Apologies. Let's go to forum thread page. I'm a big tag guy, so I actually wanted to add tags over here as well. I'm going to go ahead and make a quick change. I'm going to edit this page, add a tag cloud over here. And you'll notice something that happened here. I'm going to go ahead and preview this as well. When I move into a preview state, you'll see that now we're starting to track all changes that you do. So in this case, I've made 2 changes. And you'll notice that when I've been flipped into a preview mode to actually look and see how this, to kind of take a peek at what this is going to look like. Now I've made it to this particular thread page. This is our forum rules, so it looks kind of sticky. I'm going to go ahead and move over to the thread page where I also made the related tags. And we fly out that panel to kind of remind you that you're previewing. But we've created now a checklist of all the changes that you've made. Now this is important. Now it becomes a checklist for you as a user to kind of keep track of what you want to kind of keep. So in this particular case, I'm looking here at the forum homepage. I want to approve this change. Now when I move over to the forum thread page, I'm actually not a fan of this. I can actually go ahead and deny this page. I can actually deny that particular change. So imagine you have a list of 20 things or 15 things here. You go ahead and pick and cherry pick the things that you like and things you don't like, and then ultimately commit them. So now when I've committed them, I've now committed those changes. I did not take this one. That one moved away. I did take this particular tags one, and that one sticks. So again, it's about tracking changes. Now, an important thing to note is you saw that in a small scale. On all upgrades now, when we upgrade your theme, you will be you will have the option to opt into looking at your site with the changes we've made and be able to preview all those changes. You can imagine a list of 15 things, 10 things, 2 things, 6 things, and cherry pick those changes that you want to pull in. See, another thing that I wanted to call out is we've now added the option to have a responsive behavior for widgets. So for whatever reason, I love tags, but I want to go ahead and actually remove them, and whenever this thing gets shrunk down into a format that's responsive that only has a single column. So in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and publish that because I know that's the behavior that I want. And when that occurs, you'll notice when I shrink this down here into something like that's more like a phone, you'll notice these tags now are now gone. Now you still see the other suggested answer, you still see everything else about the thread, but you'll see the tag has been removed. I made that decision when creating the thread that I didn't want that shown. So you have full control when I expand back out. Here it is, now it's visible. So again, it's having a little bit more control over the UI. Okay. So that's again, that's for the UI. Well, we think this is a much better experience. Let me sneak now into overall form administration, or not form administration, but site administration. So the whole control panel, as you know, has been actually reworked as well. This is a unbranded, you'll notice it's kind of unbranded, it's very clean look. We've recategorized, we went back through all the configuration items and moved them into new categories. So this was a brand new look at the existing configuration items that we had and tried to group them in formats that are much more excuse me, much more easier to grok. So also, just like the front end panel, we have full search support. So you may not know where something is right off the bat, or you may not remember it, or just have a quick way of accessing. Here's the way to kind of get to the content. This is, so here, a particular job, I can see I've got my total jobs panel. We've made some improvements there. We'll tell you when when they're coming up, when jobs are about to start, as well as, of course, we'll show you jobs that are currently running. Now, the first thing you're thrown into is, from an administration standpoint, is moderation. And this is another very large change that we made within 9.0. So we took, again, when you look at managing a community or working with a community, you have lots of different inputs, whether it's comments, whether it's status messages, whether it's forum posts, etc. And there's different ways that we know from working with a community that arguably bad information can get in. So what we did is we took a fresh look at spam, moderation, and abuse. And we've combined all those from an administration standpoint into one place. So previously, you think about, you moderate, you go to one place, there's content to be moderated. You have spam, you have one place to go look at it, spam. And you have abuse, you have another place for abuse. But they're really all about making sure that valid, important, good content is on the site. So what we've done is we've combined all that administration into one. And to understand the way, to have a better understanding of the way this is designed is probably a quick overview of the way the abuse works in Telligent Community. So when something comes in the community and it's been flagged through spam rules, or the community has flagged something, it goes into an in-process state. And what we do in community is we send an email to the user and tell them, hey, you posted something that's been potentially spam, please tell us why we should keep it. So that goes back to the user. And we know that in most cases, spam users will never come back and answer that. It's a real simple form. It's got just a single form on the page that says, why should we accept this? That goes into waiting for review. So in this particular case, I have a legitimate user who's posted something. They came back and said, yeah, actually, these were a bunch of mirrors that have the downloads. This is actually legitimate information. This is actually a legitimate site. The guy came back and said, hey, please take a look at this. This is good. Now I have action to do. At this point here, this is where moderators come in and actually make an act upon. And then there's this middle state that's content that's been kind of flagged in the system by users. So in this particular case, it's been flagged by one of our users, but it's really not it's really not abusive yet. So let's start from that. Knowing that process, let's start to look at how these are featured. So the first thing we do is when you land in something, we put you into a work queue that this actually needs work items. So here's a case. As a moderator or review board member, this first tab is really the only tab you care about. These are things that someone's come back and said, hey, they've been moderated or they've appealed content, I've got work to do. So we come in here, we give you a lot of information about what's going on. In this particular post, we let you know if this has been flagged for a particular reason. This also gives you insight as a community manager if you need to tweak some of your current settings. Maybe 5 links is not enough, or maybe 5 links is too little. But again, it's giving you insights about why some of your rules are triggering some of these items. We give information about the author. You can click through this particular author, it goes directly to them. This is going to give you, if you want to go one quick access to be able to moderate them, look at some more information about them, as well as you can, we also give, oops, let me get back over to where I was at here. We also tell you where it was at, and more importantly, we're telling you whether or not this is denied. So when you look at this, you know this is off the site. This is not on the particular site. So you know in action here, in this particular case, I know this user, I've seen them, so I can go ahead and prove that. Now I have no more work to do. And this, again, this is the key you really need to look at. Now, possible abusive are for the communities where people are very proactive. Maybe they are just kind of really interested in looking at what people are posting. They want to come in here and kind of get things off the site kind of quickly. The community is usually very good at flagging stuff, but sometimes it's depending on your hours of your particular community, maybe late nights. Your UK folks are flagging things when other people aren't, when everyone else is asleep. In this particular case, I got this troll guy. And you can see here, he's posting some stuff and his content's actually removed. But I actually want more information about this particular user, and I can go look at him. So we'll show you the reputation. This guy is not very good. He's in the bottom 3%, as well as he's got 4 posts on the site, and he's actually got all 4 of them flagged. So again, it's about giving you information to quickly move content, and I can easily make a decision for this guy. So in this particular case, I have 3 options for him. You can flag him as abusive. This means that everything in the system is going to go automatically into an appeal state. So this guy, he might as well, we actually know him. He's not going to come back, so we can go ahead and flag and put him in there. I can also do things like start moderating the content. Probably wouldn't want to do that in this particular user. That just means now I have to start reviewing everything that he does. And more importantly, too, we give this new option to go ahead and actually delete this particular user. And let's see here. That's odd. Let's go to moderation queue. So I'm going to go ahead and, in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and take Troll McGillicuddy, and I can actually see all the content about him. And what we do is we'll give you more information to make that a smart decision. Since I'm actually delete somebody, we'll show you the most recent post, and you can zap them directly there. And this no longer sends them to deleted forums. The deleted forums have been removed, so all this guy's content is going to be completely removed off the site. Another quick note about abuse and moderation is there's some new abuse plugins. We actually went through a period of Akismet is still available, but we've actually come out of the box with some recommended settings. We use it as dog food on our own site, and have found we get very little content through. So Akismet is good, but if you have private users or something, you don't want to use that. Out of the box, it gets you pretty much where you want to be. We've got some new plugins as well that we can actually find abusive users automatically, and then go ahead and flag all their content. Another quick note there too is when someone's flagged as abusive, you can enable a plugin that will actually stop them from posting within the community. A couple other quick notes while I'm in here is we've added some new monitoring options. So the cases of when you start working with maybe performance issues in the site, you can actually start tracing within the site. And oops, let me tab here. And any kind of new calls that you make, I'm going to go here and pop into the home page here, poke around, and you'll see in the tracing pages here. Now I'm getting some details of what's going on with these calls. You can kind of see where some slowdowns are. Work with your IT team if needed, and then more importantly, you can download this as a CSV if you're working with our support team. Another quick note is this panel's been the exceptions panel is retooled. I don't have any exceptions, not many exceptions today, but it's an infinite scrolling. As well as when you work with our support team or anything else, we actually have this download diagnostics download. So this will actually export all of your plugins and like the last 10 exceptions, and so you can work with our support team if needed and go ahead and send that over. Real quick, well, Another quick item here as well is a quick note is when you delete users now, we now give the the ability to, in the past when we deleted content, that actually be reassigned to anonymous. Now we actually reassign everything to a former member, and that's good because that former member does not to participate into things like leaderboards or any kind of systems that would track points, as well as you can actually just ultimately zap them. But we still keep obviously the idea of being able to delete the user and reassign their content. So these are good. These are great front-end features. One of the things that Rod mentioned right off the bat too is that we have the Love the Developer theme. So real quick, we're going to let Michael real quick demo some of these, the new and improved version of Widget Studio. All right, Michael, let me go ahead and send it your way. You should now be presenter.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Sorry for the delay there. Right. Okay. So thanks, Kevin. As Kevin mentioned, this is just a quick demo of the new Widget Studio in Telligent Community 9, which is only one of the many new developer features in 9.0. And we'll briefly review widgets in general and then take a longer look at Widget Studio, looking at some of its main features in 9.0, which is general usability improvements, some staging and preview support improvements, visual diffing, and developer mode. So first of all, quick refresher, all user interface you see in the front end and new to 9.0, most UI in the back end as well, is powered by widgets. A widget is just an individual unit of UI in Community. So you're looking at a third page, you're looking at a collection of widgets. If you were to edit this page, you more easily see what's a widget. And this is a widget. Thread details is a widget, the form thread. We'll come back to that in a second. And of course, you can configure widgets. So widgets are configurable. Admins can place them wherever they want, configure them however they want to be configured. They're scripted. They're not compiled. They're distributable. So a widget can be packaged up into an export and shared to other environments. They're localizable, so they support multiple language translations. They have access to the full platform API. Thanks to being scripted, they have access to the same supported upgrade-safe community platform API, and so they're also upgrade-safe. And because they're scripted, they are fully editable in the browser, which is what brings us to Widget Studio. So first, let's go to Widget Studio and take a look at usability improvements. So to get to Widget Studio, I would navigate to Administration and Interface and Widgets. And this is the new widget editing experience. New in 9, it's much easier to use. It's a faster, unified, kind of single-page experience. As you can see here on the left, you have a list of all the widgets, including all those that come with the platform, as well as any custom ones you install. You can expand out the different components of a widget. So I can say achievement widget, I want to see its content and information about it. Or another widget, I can open up its script. And these are multiple components, multiple widgets at once, and you can flip between them like you'd expect in a tab view. And you can, of course, do things like close the tabs, close other tabs. You can see where that widget falls in the tree. We have some pretty extensive keyboard shortcut navigation, so you can do things you'd be familiar with, like Alt-Tab between tabs, switch between tabs, that kind of thing. List goes on. And when you're viewing a component of a widget, you can navigate directly from its component to other parts of the widget, so like from its overview to its configuration, or you can just do it right here in the tree. And you can just kind of navigate anywhere around, just like you'd expect in a standard IDE. And also, each widget has actions that you can take at any given time, including like making changes to it, saving a copy, exporting it. Those actions are also available within the tree for all widgets, and those actions are all synced up at all times. So whenever widget changes states, these actions are always live and available to you. Right, and that's the basis of the UI. Let's take a look at the editing improvements. So let's navigate to the forum thread. And first up, we're going to see how you can preview directly on the site. So when I'm looking at a form thread widget and I want to see where this is on the site, I can go to Actions, say Preview, and it'll bring me to an instance of it on the site. In this case, here's a form thread and a form thread page, and here's a form thread widget running on the page. And it brings it up in preview mode, which is the same as what Kevin was just talking about. So any changes made to the widget are shown immediately in preview mode. So for our scenario, we're going to suggest that we want to show the answer state not only in the sidebar, but also directly in line for whatever reason. And we just want to see what that looks like. And this is a live site, so we're thinking maybe we don't want to update this here, but because we can use preview mode, we can see what this looks like without actually affecting anybody. So back to our thread, let's navigate to its code. I'm just going to paste in some code to save time. So I'm going to paste in some code here, and so yeah, I made some change to the thread, and it's a big thing to note right off the bat that you've already seen. First of all, everything automatically saves. I don't have to save anything, and you also have a much bigger area to edit in. It expands how much space you have in the browser, and if that's not enough, you can always click full screen and get even more space, or click full screen to go back. Yeah, you see how all changes were saved automatically. Another big thing you're probably noticing is the stage change at the bottom. So all changes are saved to staging and are only visible to the developer making the change, and they're not public yet. And if I go to the previewed forum thread and I see those changes are here, so stage changes are pushed in real time. I can continue to make more updates to this. I can say maybe I don't like this, or suggested answer. I want to say this instead, and I'm changing what it says on the screen in real time. I can say, you know what, I'm trying this out. I don't like it that much. I can go ahead and revert it in here, or I could even revert it from the front end. And I can say, you know what, I'm going to deny this change and commit that. And then when I refresh it, it'll be gone. And when I go back to Widget Studio, the change is also gone in Widget Studio. So that's editing, staging, and previewing. Next up is visual diffing. We made some useful improvements to comparing changes when you edit. So a big question across upgrades has been, you know, what's different between this new widget and the old? Or what did I do in my customization? Like what's going on that makes this look different from what I expect? So you can now see those changes visually. So for our second scenario, let's suppose we want to customize our community to show the geographic location of a forum user, like show a map in that thread details. So again, thread details, which is one on the right that Kevin was talking about. So let's go to Widget Studio and navigate to thread details and go to its content. And again, I'm going to paste in some pre-written code. I'm not going to talk too much to it. And so what I'm doing here is I'm using the Platform API to read the user's profile for their publicly shared location and using a Google map to render it. And I can go ahead and see that in action on the site. And yeah, look, it put a little Google map beneath my name saying where I am. And say, hey, I kind of like that, but I kind of want to compare and see what's going on a little bit here. So I can say compare changes, because at the top it says that changes are staged. I want to see what actually changed. And I can compare changes, and I go into a diff view. And diff view lets me see the existing widget on the left and my changes on the right. And you see my changes are highlighted in this section here. And the changes are actually editable in real time. I can continue to change this and see what it does on the site. Like I can say maybe I don't want to see the list of the count of views on there either. And I can change that too. And you can see it got rid of the views. And this live diff view is also full screen supporting. And it not only, and the live diff view isn't only for code, it's also for other parts of the widget. So if I go to the overview and say I'm more accurate now, let's say this is thread details and location. So I change the name of the widget. The name is updated everywhere. And if I say compare changes in the overview, it shows that the name is changed and the content was changed. And so let's go ahead and say, yeah, this is great. I like this change. I'm going to go ahead and publish it. So that change is made public now. It's no longer in a previous state. So anyone visiting the site could see this map. But because it's in because it is technically still just a customized version of a factory default, I can still see what changed between my now public version and the original factory default is still installed, and I can always go back to it. So I can say, hey, what changed? And I can still see the forum thread, the name changed and the content changed. If I go to the content, I can still see what changed between the published version and the factory default. Yeah, so if I wanted to export that, I can always say export widget from here, or I can use multi-select and select multiple widgets that I want to export and export from there as well. So let's suggest that I decide at some point that I want to completely revert this back to the factory default and lose all these changes I made, even though they're public. Like, that's possible and it's supported, so you could go back to the original factory version and you never lost it. But at this point, I'm missing having those changes. I exported them. I want them back one more time. So now I can use import, and I can say, okay, let's import our export. And a big change in our import now is that in the past, our import used to ask us about maybe tens or even 100 questions about how you want to import. Now it just asks you, what do you want to import? I'm going to say I want to import everything. And once it's imported, it doesn't directly import. It imports the staging. And so I can say, hey, what actually changed? And I can see that that in this import, I had a forum thread and a forum thread details. And I can go ahead and review what was in this import and say, like, maybe I do or do not want these changes. And I'm going to say, yeah, I do want this change. But if I wanted to, I could further change this now, or individually revert certain parts of staging. Or in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and say, publish the entire import. And this works for resources. It works for anything you're importing. So you don't have to make all those choices up front. You can just kind of work on them as you do. And users won't be affected until things are actually published. Last matrix item to mention, but I won't demonstrate it, is a feature called developer mode. And developer mode is useful if you're working on factory default widgets in like a team environment. You want file system access for source control management of your widgets, but you still want to benefit directly from editing in Widget Studio. So developer mode is a site-wide local setting that basically transforms Community into an IDE that edits factory default widgets directly on the file system. So you can make edits in Widget Studio. They'll still be saved directly to staging originally, but once you publish them, they'll be saved to disk as your, to CFS as your new factory defaults. So it's really good if you're working in a team doing extensive development. But yeah, that's Widget Studio in 9.0. One more thing worth mentioning, as Kevin said, the administration panels in 9.0 are all plugin and widget based. So just to speak to the power and flexibility of our extensibility points, all of 9.0's Widget Studio is implemented as a widget running in an administration panel plugin. And with that, I'll go back to Kevin.
Thanks, Michael. We're in a little short on time, so I'm going to go ahead and hand over to Rob. Rob?
Yep.
Let me give it to you. There you go.
Thanks, everyone. We've gone through, obviously, a lot of demo material. We had more we would have loved to have shown you. We just didn't get through it. We'll have some follow-ups on the community where you can ask some questions, and we've got some new videos we're publishing as well. I thought I'd share briefly some of the details of what we're working on next. What we're doing next is we're putting a heavy emphasis on helping you identify and create value in your business. So beyond just the technology. So that means we're working with a lot of new technology partners, and our customer success team is something that if you're working with us already, you'll be hearing more from as they follow up with you to learn more about what's the business value that you're creating through your community. We're also looking at some creative new offerings for managing and running your community, which we'll be announcing later this year. Also, we'll be spending a lot of time with all of you, at least those of you that are customers already, hopefully, on talking through some more of our personas and trying to do some interviews to understand how exactly you're using our software. We're also spending a lot of time thinking about Microsoft Azure as part of our SaaS platform, as well as an option for our on-premise customers that want to host and run in Microsoft Azure. So we're making some investments in there.
We're also spending a lot of time on training and education. As I'll mention in the closing slide, we've got 70+ new articles for people that are working with the platform that we recently published on community.telligent.com, along with 9 new videos that walk you through how to use different aspects of the new Telligent product. Lastly, we are also spending a lot of time in this next release on Verint integration, so integration with Verint's enterprise management toolset, which was the previous Kana product, as well as the enterprise feedback management product, as well as the Verint analytics product. We're very excited about the opportunity that Verint provides us with some of the other platforms for delivering on that omni-channel experience. I'm personally really excited about the analytics capabilities that are there. Lastly, we are still, of course, doing a lot of work on feature improvements, so things like user profile, chat. More of those will be coming in subsequent releases as well. So just to close this out, next steps, you can learn more at community.telligent.com. There's a bunch of new how-to articles and videos. And you can always go to telligent.com to download the free edition or start a 60-day trial edition of our software, which is just simply a group that allows you to add forums and blogs and wikis and more, so you can get a feel for what the software capabilities are. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. You can reach us at sales@telligent.com, or again, you can just reach out directly to me. It's rob.howard@verint.com. Happy to answer any questions. And with that, that will conclude our webinar. And as a reminder, we did record this entire session. We did have some troubles with some of the international dial-ins. So for those of you that were not able to attend the live webinar, we did record this. You can watch it later. We will publish it as soon as possible up on our website, telligent.com. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you again for joining us today. This concludes today's web conference. You may now disconnect.